medical tests, and then you begin believing that you're going to get through. But when you fail twice, and then you realize that you start questioning yourself. Why did this happen to me? Why I had given up Marathi in school, and I was not familiar with Marathi. So the difficulty was that 100 marks paper of Marathi, how does one score? Because it comes in the ultimate counting of marks for the ranking of the person. So I was really upset. On the one hand, I was feeling that people were had got through the MPSC also. So I was extremely she guided me, Dr. Rekha Ranade from Pune. She guided me, took me through the rigor of learning Marathi, whether it was reading, writing, and learning grammar specifically. And I remember the books which she had suggested to me. One of them is still with me, Mora Varimbi, for the Vyakran, Marathi Vyakran. So it was a tough time for HDFC employees also who are sitting here. Sometimes your targets you may not be meeting, your promotions may get delayed, your efforts may get unnoticed at times, and you may feel that I have really not made it. Done. So as a revenue officer, I must say that I got to work for specifically. There are positions which people are known by. There are certain positions in our department where you feel people want to develop in their own areas, get their own land back, get rehabilitated properly. And I feel that really changed my perspective, that my role was to help the people. And that lived with me throughout. So whether it was, as a deputy secretary in the Employment Guarantee Scheme department, or whether it was the other departmental schemes which I really tried to implement, whether it was the rehabilitation or whether it was the um, disaster management things which I did. And also, of course, a very unique opportunity to be in the film city. So whether it was On Manega Karodpati set which we made, or Devdas sets which we made, which were very famous, these were the things I could got to get an opportunity, a wide range of work which I could do. And probably that is why I feel that when I left my lecturership or professorship in the University of Pune, that change which I made, though my professor who was the head of the department was extremely unhappy. He said to me that you're a student who's a scholar, and leaving your academics and going to something like this might not really be good. But I feel that it really was good for me, specifically when I got inducted into the IAS. My dream was always to be in the IAS. So when I didn't make it to UPSC, I was like forlorn and very sad. But MPSC ultimately showed me the way. I got into the financial inclusion experts. They were becoming entrepreneurs. They were training other women, and they were getting empowered, economic independence. So there was dignity which was brought into their lives. And I must thank HDFC Bank. It was one of the banks which was there at that time. HDFC was one of the banks which supported women. I think among the banks which gave bank linkages for which I was struggling. I remember very well when I joined, we barely like about 300 crores or something of credit for the women. But by the time I left my assignment and went, it was like more than 6,000 crores of rupees which people were getting, the women got as loan. And HDFC definitely had a very important chunk from that. So my message is to all you people who are listening from the bank here that you are not just a finance system, you are institution. You're maybe a financial institution, but you're not just a profit system. You're an empowerment engine which is there. And then when you open an account for a rural woman who's there, so you're not processing paperwork. She may not be able to write. She may not understand at that point of time. Though many women have become educated now, but you're opening a possibility for that woman. So I really thank HDFC for supporting the women to open their accounts. Recently, when we had some other activities to be taken up in Mumbai for the house helps for IS officers, HDFC came forward and took up that camp also. I specifically also remember that I tried to support several self-help group women for exhibitions and in the Mumbai offices. And all of you came forward from the Mumbai office to support all these women who came to exhibit their wares, bought considerable things from them. So the core belief I feel in all this is that one has to be like a little lamb. So a lamp does not lose its light by lighting another lamp. The darkness reduces. So when you look at your workplace, when you support your other women, when you meet your and mentor your juniors, you're encouraging others to say that success is sweeter when it is shared. So that is, I think, most important because I remember distinctly 4 or 5 instances I would like to share with you how women's life were transformed. I specifically remember a woman from Bardha. She was basically not even earning about 800 rupees because of Umaid MSRLM. She bought a sewing machine. She started earning 15,000 rupees a month. She made her son an engineer. That was something really so, phenomenal for a woman who was being, battered by her husband and beaten up. He was a drunkard. She managed to educate her son, make him an engineer. And the most important part I felt I really salute her is that she herself became a postgraduate. So that is the kind of liberation and empowerment which you can do when you try to help others. And she also trained 100 self-help group other women, in 8 districts. So when you are a Vardhini, you travel to other places outside your district, outside your village, and you try to bring people together for coming together in the self-help group. I think self help groups have been the most liberating thing because that is a platform where you allow others to come who are the most vulnerable. So, similarly, you find that there was a lady from Usmanabad. I distinctly remember having met her. Her whole face was charred because of she was burnt by her in laws and husband. And she had hidden her face when I met her first. So I said, "What happened?" And then she told me that she was barely 17 when she married, and there was constant trouble for getting dowry. And so ultimately, one day when she was cooking in the kitchen, she was actually burned by her family, in-laws and husband, and she barely managed to escape. So when she came to the village, somebody told her about self-help groups, and she did not have any money. So she said, "I don't have any money," because the first basic concept of a self-help group is that you should be able to do a saving. So there are 5 principles: नियमित बैठक, नियमित बचत, अंतर्गत अंतर्देण लेन, पुस्तकाचे लेणे, परत पैसे वापस देणे. So regular meeting, regular savings, internal lending, repayment of loans, and writing books of accounts. Why? Because banks like you will only give loan when we are able to write a books of account and when we repay the loan back. And so MSRLM had this wonderful concept that they inculcated the habit of saving. So this woman, she did not have any money to save, and I remember the ladies told her, "ये तुम आपके पास पैसे नहीं तो चलेगा, you don't have money, that's fine, we will pay the 100 rupees for you, you join the group." And today that woman is having an enterprise which really supports she has a agricultural enterprise which supports 40 women, and she's making business in lakhs. So these are the inspirational stories which are there in MSRLM. Another woman, if I can share with you, was earning barely 100 rupees a month. Then she went down to 800 rupees. Her husband was also a drunkard. And she started, coming to the self-help group. She started understanding. She became a community resource person. And what I liked most about her she made women come to the groups. She started transforming her husband. Her husband left drinking. That was one of the most important stories I feel but in my life which I heard. And then she said that earlier my husband would not listen to me, but he now listens to me. So she says ki आता मी जे म्हणते ते माझं ऐकतात. Another woman said to me that जिभेवर साखर आणि डोक्यावर बर्फ. So always have sugar on your tongue and ice on your head. So imagine such philosophies could come from women who are just homemakers, who they had not studied the Gita, they were not so well versed in any philosophy of their life. But what they really present is something which was really wonderful for me to really see and learn. So my own transformational journey, what I feel, what I learned, and how I really worked forward in my own life subsequently. There was a sea change in my outlook in life because many times you get restricted what you think, how you think, and you're always looking at your own world. So these women, they told me that when you empower some other people, and whether you when you work for some other people. So similarly, Ranjana recently came to Delhi. She's a girl who was working for Ustod Kamgar, she and her mother. And she came to Delhi. I was very surprised because she had been called for Banjara artifacts. She makes very good Banjara artifacts. And when she came here, her parcel did not come on time. So she said, ki, आता मी काय करू? So I said, तुला तर स्वयंपाक करायला येतं, you know to cook well. So you start a food outlet if you wish till your material comes. And you won't believe she set up the food outlet and she made almost 3 lakhs rupees. Her item also came, the Banjara products. So she sold that, she sold the food. So that grit, to face any circumstances, to manage what you want to do. So when I took some about 8 women to USA, when we went along with our minister to present our products in USA and to show what Maharashtra is doing in the rural life. Youth mission. One lady, particularly, I remember we had gone to MIT Sloan and there was a lecture where I was talking like this to some people. And she kept on looking, around. I said, "Ki, what are you thinking? काय विचार करताय तुम्ही? तुम्हाला काय वाटतं?" She said, of time, I used to constantly feel that, I'm neglecting my child, I'm neglecting my family, I'm leaving my home and going. But that I felt it was very difficult to get over. Ultimately, I did get over it, though there is a portion of it left in me still. So, releasing that guilt for any woman is very important because you can't be perfect. Balancing all the time, adjusting all the time, being perfect all the time is really very difficult. So ask for support. That is one of the other things I feel that you have to constantly ask for support. Many women feel that you are Ashtabhuja Devi, a superwoman. We can do everything in life, reach where we want to. But unless your family supports you, it's not possible. Today, I'm confident I can speak. I'm here in Delhi, away from my family, because my husband supported me, my son has supported me, father-in-law, when my child was small, they came. My sister-in-law used to support me, my brothers and sisters, and my parents have always unless you get the support of your family, whether it's your husband, your son, your brothers, father, it's not possible. And the in laws, of course, it's not possible to rise. And only when the family rises, the village or the city or the state and the nation, they all can rise together. So life essentially is also like a car, I feel sometimes, that there are like 4 wheels of a car, and these 2 wheels are of a woman and 2 wheels are of a man. If one wheel also is not there, it cannot become a three-legged race. So the balance can get lost. All of us have to be together in this. There is no society which can be only woman friendly, man friendly. Unless we be together, There is a lot of talk these days that women are trying to dominate and they're trying to be one up, not adjusting to family. Probably it's a different kind of a problem now, because earlier when women were not educated, they were at home. They were at home and managing the house, when men would probably go out as wage earners. There is a difficulty even now, acceptance that when the woman joins, there is somewhere in the background a question mark that she will get married, she will have children, go for maternity leave. But unless we do all that, I don't think any man can progress. So we have to be part of the system in which you have to take care of the family, the childbearing, rearing. Biologically, it is with the woman. So when it is biologically with the woman, then you have to respect that womanhood and ensure that you empower that woman to take care of the family and also make a career, because she's equally educated and intelligent. So there's always a talk, that हमारी देवियां सारी महिलाएं हैं. So you talk about Lakshmi or Saraswati or Durga. These are all phenomena existing, but woman is not a devi. She's not a devi, definitely. A woman is a human being, flesh and blood, like any man, and she needs that support. So I think that. So if I look back at my journey from a small girl from Bhusawal, a town which was just growing up, I look at my life, the support of my parents, my teachers, that I became a professor, the sales tax officer, the deputy collector, and the IAS officer. I think nothing is linear. It's not that easy. Everything and everyone has to go through struggles in life. But what makes all these things possible, what makes you really go up in life, is because you are always wanting to stay positive. So you have to remain positive, adjust when required, and specifically keep learning. Today, I'm doing my PhD from the IIT Bombay. I'm trying to work for the deserted women. Why they are having a problem of desertion? Because there is no definition of desertion. Marriage is defined, widowhood is there. There are schemes for divorce, separated women, but deserted women who are left by their husbands are not defined. So I'm trying to learn how one can do something good for them. So failure has not defined me any time. Today, if I look back at my life, there were difficulties when I had very bad postings. There were difficulties when I was, bad mouthed for whatever reason, though I was not part of the mistakes which happened. So this is always there. But don't let that failure define you. Don't let anything define you which is negative. Because positive, there are so many things in the world. Today, when you open the newspaper, you will find that there are only negative stories, whether of murder, rape, and now the war is happening. So different. So ask yourself specifically, what is this boundary I'm still, which is holding me back? What is it I'm trying to respect that boundary? Why I'm not crossing that boundary? Is it fear which is making you stop? Is it comparison with others which is making you stop? It is your guilt, is it, which is making you stop? Or is it something which you hesitate to ask for help? Just break the barrier, break that bias which is there, because we always grow up in a Sanskriti. If you look at girls also, they grow up in this mat kar संस्कृति. तो ये मत कर, यहाँ मत जा, ये मत बोल, यहाँ मत बैठ, यहाँ मत उठ, इसको मत देख, इसको मत कर. I don't think many of the boys would be facing what all women face. You are digitally, financially, operationally among the best. That is definitely there. That if anyone talks about HDFC Bank, we know that it is one of the topmost banks in our country. But what is very important, that you have to go beyond all these specified things about being digital or being operationally very excellent. You have to go beyond emotionality, create inclusive steps and spaces for women, encourage leadership, specifically amongst women, so that they come in more leadership roles, support skilling. So that is very most important thing, because in this day and age when AI has come up, technology is continuously really becoming better and better. So you have to ensure that people become more skilled. So first generation earners were very different. Now it is something very totally different. So sometimes what a woman really needs, it's like an institution should be believing in her. The institution should trust her, should believe in her. So when I began at Bhusawal, I did not know where my life would take me. I did not know at that time. I did dream big, but I did not think that this would ultimately happen. I was working towards it. But I knew one thing definitely, that I will not let the circumstances shrink me or overpower me. I will find out my own path. I'll work towards it and find my journey, which has, which will empower me, empower other people, and enlighten other people. So in my journey, I feel that I always look at myself as a lamp, which will be lighting many people's lives. And even if that one lamp is there, it is there to help people. So be positive, be resilient, be compassionate, and most importantly, be the lamp so that you can make other people happy. के बाटे सभी को, सबका जीवन ये बन जाए मधुबन, अपनी करुणा का जल तू बहा के कर दे पावन हर एक मन का कोना। हम चले नेक रास्ते पे, हमसे भूल कर भी कोई भूल होना, इतनी शक्ति हमें देना दाता, मन का विश्वास कमजोर होना, मन का विश्वास कमजोर होना। Thank you, HDFC. Thank you, Pragati. Thank you, George and Shivani and all others who are here for this opportunity, for speaking to you with my heart. And I hope that we'll all be together in this suffer. Chal mere saath hi chal. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. As you beautifully said that result do not define our identity. And ma'am, thank you so much for taking such a beautiful sessions, which is really you explain how's the beyond the boundaries. Your own journey start from Bhusawal to becoming the IS officer and today the resident commissioner of Maharashtra. That itself is a living example that no boundaries is a permanent when vision is strong. From small town to national leadership, that journey is not just a personal success. So ma'am, I'm just going through all of the whatever you talk says before taking the some questions whatever we have received. You also beautifully said that result do not define our identity. We are already have our own unique identity. What truly matters is that when we keep trying and keep practicing and keep moving forward with confidence. So thank you so much, ma'am, for such a powerful and inspiration sessions. Your journey truly reflects courage in actions and a real life hero who proves that determinations can break every barrier. And we are deeply inspired by your own stories. So, ma'am, we have now it's time to move the questions raised by our employees. I'm sure everyone is excited to hear your thoughts and guidance. So we have received some couple of questions. So the questions what we have received from our employee. Ma'am, what inspired you to choose your public service that pursue as the IS journey?
Yeah, actually, I mentioned that it was one of my seniors who had got through the UPSC and he'd come to our school for sharing his experience uh, in the services and how he got through the exam. So that was when I got inspired because when I heard him when I was in the fifth standard, and that was when I felt that yeah, like it would be wonderful to join the service and serve the country. So, so many times, you keep listening to some people when you travel somewhere or in your school, and that inspires you. So that definitely, and then of course my father who believed in me, and when I told him, of course, that I don't want to do maths, and then I said that I want to appear for this exam. It's a very tough exam. I spent, like, 6 years of my life hoping that I'll get through, and then I didn't get through ultimately. And one of the times I met with an accident and I was hospitalized. So yeah, it's like a very difficult journey, but yeah, you have to keep going at it.
Thank you, ma'am. So one more questions we have received. So what was the most defining moment in your career that shaped you as a leader? And what challenges you faced as a woman? What kept you resilient and focused?
So there were, I think, there are two postings in my life. I think three probably now when I look back, which I really remember. The first one, which I felt, is that when I was the joint managing director of Film City. See, as administrators, when you work in the department, government department, you're always at a bossy position. You have 10 people listening to you. You can do, they are subordinates. But when you're managing a studio, a shooting facility, then you have to be very different, because you have to ensure that people come to you and you are able to, like, the lady said, ki जिभेवर साखर आणि डोक्यावर बर्फ. So many times big producers and directors used to come and ask for things, facilities, and we are not able to give. I remember distinctly when Mohabbat set was made, and Yash Chopra specifically is no more now, but they spoiled some lake location, and I was like quite upset. And then we got it repaired, of course. But to manage such big people, so whether there was Subhai Kai or Yash Chopra, Yash Johar, Amitabh Bachchan, so it was a really a big opportunity to make the KBC set, to really ensure that they stayed in our studio. Because Star, which is the group, they could have gone anywhere at that time when they started this, or then when Sony, when they came up with the other programs. So it was a big challenge for me to change my approach as a businesswoman, to do that. That was one of the big challenges. Second, of course, I remember, of course, MSRLM is my really, all-time, really a favorite job which I've done, which I still pursue now as a passion. That is my calling. I felt that I want to work for empowerment of women. I want to really dedicate in whatever little way possible for the development of women, because I felt that that is some sphere which needs a lot of work. Today everyone says that women are empowered, they are in such position, but if you really go to rural India, or even if you go to the people who are really poor in the urban places also, there's so much to do which we can do. So that made me realize that there is some a factor which we really need to support and really help them. So that was one part. But being collector of Nagpur specifically during COVID, so that was, I think, one of the most challenging tasks which I had, because first of all, ensuring that you maintain the social distancing norms, at the same time provide oxygen to people, build all the oxygen facilities which were to be done, make people take vaccine. That was something very, very difficult. There are a lot of different kinds of talks about vaccine, but I feel we really survived because the vaccination percentage was quite high. So enabling people to take vaccine was something which I felt was a big challenge. So these three postings I remember, because managing a district was something like Nagpur, which is the second capital of our country. So it was a very big challenge for me from day to night to really work every day to ensure that all this happened. And I really pride myself to one fact that just as soon as COVID got over, we had a marathon. So take the bias for women. So everyone was thinking that probably 2 or 3 thousand people would come, but actually 35,000 women came for that marathon. It was a very big mega event it became. So it showed that women believed in me. So personally, I felt that, as a person who emotionally bonded with women, that really was, kind of certified in some way. So I really feel proud, and I'm really going to work for this cause. So these were the learnings, I think, from my postings. Yeah.
Ma'am, before taking the new question, I already told you multiple times, as I mentioned you, that you are truly my inspirations. I have watched some of your talks and stories, deeply touched about the, even today when you said about the story of Varda, the way you have explained that way she has begun her journey with earning start rupees just 800, and the way she has get the support from Maharashtra State Rural Livelihoods Mission, then she purchased the sewing machines, then started her own empowered journey, then she started teaching the other them skills. So that transformations was not just a financial, it was an emotional, social, and generations, you often say. Sugar on the tongue and the vision in the case, kindness in the words, but clarity in courage and visions. That's also true leaderships, which we have heard from our all the elders, maybe we have missed it out. Feel this journey was bigger than just a career because that it was a mission.
Yeah, actually, if you really think of, it became like that ultimately. Initially there were times when I really don't mind sharing, and I just felt that I don't want to be in this career. There are moments Jawar also. So that festival, I felt that I never even thought of, that it will really make such a deep impact on senior citizens also. So many people came for that. And now we are having a Sari festival of Maharashtra, which we have planned. So I could present Maharashtra in such a great perspective over here. I feel really sense of pride what the state gave me as a MPSC officer. I came into Maharashtra services. I was accepted as the daughter of Maharashtra. I didn't know Marathi. I'm a Tamilian, but I learned Marathi and I got absorbed in Maharashtra. So I feel that I got this opportunity to present my state in the country. And what greater pride can you have? So there may be misgivings at time, but ultimately you have to look at the bigger picture. Life is not going to be perfect. There are ups and downs. So when the whole perspective, when you look at your life, and you have to take the negative with the positive, and the negative should always be neglected. Both start with N. So you should also always look at the possibilities and the positivity in your life and be happy and spread that happiness in whichever way possible. So after I joined here, I did a few things which I feel that it changed my perspective from the negative to more of positive, which I'm always there.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So you are already given the question answer, which one of my employee asked that how would you take a failure and what things motivates you? So positive takes and negative neglects. So, ma'am, employees just need a guidance because some of their daughters and wife and sisters were planning for an UPSC. So they have already given the exam of civil services. So what you can give some tips which they can help us to get the clear the exams.
Yeah, so see, UPSC, as I mentioned to you, or MPSC, there are three stages. So there is a preliminary examination, there's a main examination, and then there is an interview. And every time you have to start from the scratch. So suppose you reach the interview and you don't get through, then you have to give the prelims again. There's not a, it's not like a CA exam, chartered accountants, that you clear one part paper and if you get 60 marks above, then you get exemption. It's not like that. So first thing is person are selected for the main examination. So you can imagine the type of competition which is there. In MPSC, out of the 3 or 4 lakhs, barely 1,000 would be, or about 2,000 would be selected for the main examination because the posts are very less compared to UPSC. So the competition is like phenomenal. So you have to be prepared that at any stage of time, you will not be selected. So one is that being prepared, and secondly, I always feel that it's good to have an optional career. Like I was into teaching, so I just felt that that is something which is there, which we can judges your capacity. It's a capacity paper, so you have to. That is just a passing mark. But the subject of GS you have to clear get good come you have to get good marks. And similarly in the main examination you will have like about 8 papers, I think, which are two are optional. Then arithmetic, I was quite poor in maths. I still remember the nightmares I had for my main examination because calculations are also very important. So preparing for UPSC and MPSC, these are the things which you keep in mind. And newspapers you have to read every day. General knowledge and general studies is very important. And minimum you have to be prepared to work every day at least 8 to 10 hours. So this is the type of time you have to give for the exam, because there is so much of syllabus and so much of portion to really learn and know that you cannot really finish it in, like many people say कि हमने 3 ही महीने पढ़ाई किया. I don't agree. They may not be telling the truth. It's a very, very, very vast portion. So dedicated time learning, and totally you will be cut off with many of the things social life. Though you can spend some time, but you have to devote more time to study. So choose carefully and dedicatedly. It is not impossible. If you really do it, there are many people who have been successful. MPSC, I was very successful, even though I didn't know Marathi. But yeah, so it's like sometimes luck also, but more than luck, the factor that you have to study. Otherwise, there is no shortcut to any place, even in your own studies, wherever you're studying.
Yes, thank you so much, ma'am. The last questions, in a high pressure role like the civil service, how do you structure your time priority to ensure both professional and personal stability?
So quality time is very important, I think. So like it's not that I remember my parents. It's not that you're always there 24 hours for your children. Whether it was my parents also, they're not sitting and chatting with you 24 hours and sitting with you. The quality time and the confidence which you give to your child, that you're there for the child when the child needs you. I think that faith, if you instill in your child, and that confidence, that is the most important. Because I distinctly remember I used to be quite busy. So either me or my husband used to be there for our child to take care of the baby. We had very good neighbors. So that was something I really never forget in my life. They really supported me so much as to fall back on them all the time. My parents were there. But quality time, I think that is what made a difference, and that you're a friend to your child. If you really maintain that relationship with your child as it grows up, as he or she grows up, because initially you are taking care, you're the parent, but as the child is growing up, I feel that unless you are friendly with your child and unless the child confides it with you, because the child confides in a friend. So if you are not a friend to that child, and after he grows up, then it can be very difficult. So doesn't mean that you become a it's a like a slapstick having fun with the child, but then the child should really believe that my parents are there for me whenever he needs me or she needs me. So quality time for the family, one holiday with the family, I have always maintained is very important. So we they go for 3 or 4 days as parents. That is very important. I feel that just take that time out, and that is possible. You may not spend hours together every day, and keeping away from the mobile phone. This is very common these days, that for eating, for feeding, for doing anything, learning nursery rhymes. So we have taught our children normally. They learn normally. We had also learned normally. Sweden is saying that we have to keep social media away from the children, keep phones away from the children while teaching, get them into reading and writing. Sweden had introduced tablets and computers and mobile phones, and now they are saying, so they realize that after 10 years, we should not get into that trap. We should realize fast that our children need to read and write. Our children need to practice physical writing and physical reading instead of reading from tabs and phones. So that is something which every parent who's listening here, I would make a sincere request that try as much as possible to avoid the telephone for feeding, eating, any other thing in learning. It's the easiest way to get distracted for any child.
Thank you, ma'am. Once again, heartfelt thank you, ma'am, for taking out your prestigious time and sharing such an empowering sessions with all of us. Your words will truly stay with us